Welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney. Heading into the weekend, Biden got the PR victory he desperately needed with the release of the May jobs report. Excitement abounded as the numbers rolled in. 272,000 jobs added to the economy last month, even as unemployment ticked up slightly to 4%. But that didn't dampen enthusiasm as the 272,000 jobs figure blew past all expectations, with the two largest banks in our country, JP Morgan Chase and Goldman Sachs, having predicted the figure to be about 100,000 jobs lower than it ended up being reported to be. The way Ben Wickler, Democrat Party chair of Wisconsin, tells it, quote, "The numbers are in. Biden's economy just generated more net jobs in 1 month than Trump's economy did in 4 years," end quote. But how true is any of this? Is the government perfectly capable of rigging elections and trials alike above the possibility of cooking economic statistics too, like they do to crime stats? Well, for one thing, all the job creation which happened under President Trump was wiped out by the COVID lockdown, so that's hardly a fair comparison. But even more importantly than that, what has Biden's Build Back Better plan actually achieved, if anything? We still haven't recouped all the jobs lost during the pandemic, and where jobs are being regained, they're largely coming in the form of government jobs, as if we need any more middling bureaucrats for the managerial elites regime. Or they're coming from Americans working multiple jobs because they can't find a single good paying job. That all artificially boosts the numbers for Biden. But even worse is what this latest May jobs report has to say about the fate of American workers vying for jobs in the face of an open border and a legal immigration system designed to disenfranchise Americans in favor of cheap foreign labor. Stephen Miller, senior advisor to President Trump and founder of America First Legal, posted, quote, "The jobs report has merely become a measure of the pace of mass migration," end quote. And what he means by that can be summed up by the post from Zero Hedge to which he was responding. That post claims that American-born workers have lost a total of 663,000 jobs, whereas foreign-born workers, including illegal aliens, have seen a net gain in recent years of 414,000 jobs. As conservative commentator Jesse Kelly puts it, the reason Americans feel like the economy is bad and economists feel like it's good is the country is being ripped from the hands of our citizens and handed to globalists and immigrants. So the market looks great, but the 22-year-old white male college grad can't find a job, end quote. This is a situation our next guest and his organization have been paying close attention to. Joining us now to discuss is Nate Hochman, a senior advisor to America 2100 and a writer for the American Spectator. Nate, thanks for being here tonight.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Great. So what do you make of this disparity about how people, normal Americans, American workers, are viewing the economy, and then how, say, the Paul Krugman types, the New York Times and the Biden administration, how they're telling us we should be feeling about the economy?
Well, it's just so perfect. I mean, Paul Krugman, Biden and his allies, all of the sort of economists on the sort of center-left elite at places like the New York Times for months have been effectively lecturing Americans about how they're stupid for thinking the economy is bad. They keep saying the economy is great. Look at these statistics. Look at the job numbers. Look at the GDP growth, et cetera. And they've basically come up with this frustrated explanation where they say the only reason Americans could think the economy is bad is because they don't understand statistics or they don't understand numbers. It's like, no, you actually drill below the surface of this latest jobs report. It's because things like the job growth numbers are skyrocketing, but the jobs aren't going to Americans. So there's no, the Americans, the job growth statistics don't really mean much to them if it's not going to them, then it's going to foreign workers instead.
I know. I think one of the biggest indicators to look out for are some of these H-1B visas and others like them, right? So you'll see there's the tech industry, there's IT, and there's mass layoffs. And you see every few months you'll see the big headlines, right, about these mass layoffs. And yet that never seems to stem the flow of these big, gigantic tech companies wanting to bring in more workers from India and nations like that. So that's very strange, right? They want to bring over more, but then they're laying a bunch of Americans off, but then they claim that there's just not enough Americans to do the jobs, and so we got to keep bringing them over. But, you know, we've grown up with that same slogan for so many years. They say it in Europe too, but especially here they say, well, we got to bring them over, Nate, because Americans just don't want to work. Look how lazy these dumb kids are. They don't want to work.